Hello, this is Revealing Light Tarot. I wanted to look at the GOP strategy for the Kavanagh nomination at the moment as the events unfold. Professor Blasey Ford has come out and said she won't be attending the Senate. She won't be questioned by the GOP senators or the Democratic senators for that matter, and that it's entirely inappropriate for that to happen. Has she made the right call? My opinion is that regardless of what she was going to do, her voice is already being heard. And she's coming from a position of a very strong position, as we've seen the GOP turn themselves inside out to not put a wrong foot where this is concerned. They don't want to alienate the female vote in the lead up to the midterms, and any mistreatment of Professor Ford may do that. What is worrying at this present time is that Professor Ford, of course, has had to move out of her home. She's received death threats, as have her two teenage children. This cannot be an easy time for her. It's hard enough for her to have carried that alleged sexual assault forward, without having this, the national and international attention on her at the moment. But the GOP are being very careful. They've offered to meet with her in private. She's done the right thing in handing it over to the FBI for investigation. That's what should be done. The question now is, how does that affect the Kavanagh nomination? So, putting aside our previous readings, let's just have a current, up-to-date look at what is the GOP strategy for the Kavanagh nomination in light of Professor Ford's allegations. And within that, we'll also ask, how Professor Ford is doing, what's going through her mind at the moment. So, firstly, the GOP. What is their strategy with Kavanagh? The Kavanagh nomination at the moment. Okay. So lots of talks behind the scenes. Lots of pressure on them not to be this, perceived as this white male Senate that's bullying females. They're conscious of the activation of women right across America and indeed the world, because we're all being influenced by these events. They're also conscious of how it's looking. Kavanagh's Trump's pick. So how's Kavanagh doing? Okay. My feeling is that there are other things. There are other things to come forward. Whether it's to do with Kavanagh's, whether other women or not, or what it has to do with. It seems that they want to get this done really quickly, because the longer that it takes, the more opportunity there is for more evidence against him, or more allegations, regarding his character to come forward. Okay. So, what is the GOP strategy regarding the Kavanagh nomination? GOP. Okay, so we have the Nine of Swords, and we all know that card is not a pleasant one. It's nightmares, anxiety, grief. It's the worst card. When we look at it, this to me is all parties. This is not an easy situation for anybody at the moment. When I say easy, this is one that's been brought upon everyone as a result of Trump's particular pick, and trying to rush this nomination forward, forward, and of course Professor Ford's letter in July accusing Brett Kavanaugh of this alleged sexual assault when they were teenagers. So that's very much how they're all feeling at the moment. It's a bit of a nightmare. It's a bit of a nightmare for them. They've got the heads in their hands. They really don't know which way to go. They're really not wanting to be wrong-footed at all. The High Priestess card came forward for Professor Ford yesterday, and I think this is still coming forward for her today. The High Priestess is about subconscious motivations, subconscious agendas. So it's almost as if this situation is raising more than what we can actually see at the moment. It's raising things on multiple levels. People have brought up Anita Hill, and there's a lot of emotions that are coming to the surface regarding this nomination and suppression perhaps of what happened in 2016 with Trump and the way that he treated his accusers. This is all coming to the surface, so there's more than just the obvious at stake here. This is why the GOP are having trouble knowing which way to go, because there are unseen forces being brought to bear in this situation. It's quite a critical situation. So the GOP are definitely standing their ground. This is the Nine of Rods, or the Nine of Wands, and they're persisting. They're persisting at this point with the Kavanaugh nomination. So we're taking a look at the situation as it stands today. They're persisting with the nomination. Okay, the Emperor is I think is representing the High Court, and it's also representing, because we're just mirroring this Nine of Swords. It's also representing the pressure that is upon the GOP not to put a wrong foot forward. They are very concerned about process. They keep using the word process, as does Trump, process. They're very concerned about process. They're very concerned about the midterms. Wow, lots riding on this. No wonder they're like that. Okay. All right, so we've got the Six of Pentacles. So that's giving and receiving help, loans or debts, or generosity, and this is mirroring the High Priestess. So again, I said there's a lot of unseen forces coming forward. This Six of Pentacles is actually, I think, the help that Professor Ford is getting. It's the help. It's these unseen forces that are helping the situation. It's the it's the indignation, it's the memories of what happened before with the Supreme Court pick. I think it was Clarence Thomas. All these memories are coming to the surface, and these are actually helping the situation. Whether Professor Ford knew it or not, she is extremely instrumental at this time in history. The Knight of Wands, I think, is, again, the GOP standing their ground. To me, they're going to press forward one way or another. They're going to press forward with the nomination hearing. Whether that's the right thing to do, I'm not sure. They're going into battle for Kavanaugh. Is that the right thing to do? Are they going to come undone? Okay, so this is mirroring the GOP's grief, the Supreme Court, the pressure that's on them. It's in the past position, so it's actually saying that they're hoping for victory. This is what's driving them. They're hoping to get the Kavanagh nomination through. As I said, a lot is riding on this. A lot is riding on this nomination. Okay, the Page of Wands. Okay, this is like new projects and I guess studying things very carefully. That's what the Page is doing. He's studying things. He's a student. He's studying things very carefully. This is in the present position, in the Kavanagh position, and I think the general public are actually studying things extremely carefully. Again, we're talking about all these unconscious emotions and I guess indignations, that this support that's coming through for Professor Ford. People are watching all of this. Who's watching? Who's watching? Is it the senators? Is it who is watching? And how will that play out? Okay, in the future, they're battling. They're going to be. This is the Five of Wands. So we very much had this trying to stand their ground. It's a real battle for them, and they're a bit battle weary. I don't think the GOP are doing so well at this point in time with their battle to get Kavanagh through. They're going to charge through with it regardless. Will this be a mistake? Well, the Five of Wands is about obstacles and challenges. Okay, so obstacles in their way. This charging through, this pushing this through, it's actually going to be a mistake for them. Okay. What do we need to know? We wanted to know how Christine Blasey Ford is doing. Is she okay? I can only imagine what it's like for her. Let's have a look. Yeah, well, she's an intelligent, strong person. Of course, she didn't want any of this to be public, but she's also committed. I think her lawyer has come out and said she's committed to doing the right thing. Here we are, the Queen of Wands. This is Professor Ford. She is confident and self-assured. So while things are very, very difficult for her at the moment, she's in there for the long term. She's going to sustain her what would I say, her position. Her position is going to be sustainable. She's strong. She knows what she's doing. These unconscious emotions and that are being provoked as a result of her stepping forward, and they're going to be they're going to in some way help and contribute to the, I guess, to bringing the truth forward. That's what her strength is. Her strength is around bringing the truth forward, and she's okay. She's strong. Okay, with these battles that the GOP is going to have in rushing through the Kavanagh nomination, where are these battles going to lead to? I mean, is it going to say, okay, we're not going to vote for Kavanagh until the FBI has done an investigation, or are they just going to steamroll it through? And what does that mean for them? Okay. What is going to be the result of the battles around the Kavanagh nomination? We're talking very short term here, within the next few days. They'll be judged for it. So that's what's going to happen to the GOP over the next couple of days. They're actually going to be judged. Their actions are going to be scrutinised, and they will also be called out in breaking traditions. So in breaking the protocols and the traditions around Supreme Court nomination hearings and confirmations, in their attempt to rush things forward, they will be battling and they will be judged. Okay, so I have done other readings. That's as far as I'm going to take it today. But I have done other readings with Kavanagh, and it always shows that that his nomination won't be taken forward. It will be suspended in some way. That's my intuitive feeling. You know, whether it's stalled in the Senate, he doesn't get enough votes, whether it's withdrawn, that's the more likely scenario, although I did have a feeling, because the GOP are concentrating so much on process, that they're very aware of judicial impeachment. But this reading is just concerned with the present at the moment. We'll look at things next week. When and if the Kavanagh nomination goes to the Senate for a vote. I say when and if it goes for a vote. So that's where we stand today on the with the Kavanagh nomination. There's certainly plenty of sleepless nights for people, including the GOP, and they're very concerned about, putting a foot wrong. In yesterday's reading, they came across as fools. They got, that what they were doing was being perceived as quite foolish. So, very interesting times. Thank you.